Good morning, ladies. It's been a while since I've done a Facebook Live, and I wanted to bring some food for thought this morning. And I know that it takes a minute for Facebook to optimize and for people to come on, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this now because I felt moved to share this today, and I think really I'm going to start doing a lot more lives and sharing a lot more food for thought because I really want this to be a valuable group, and really want to provide some value inside of the group. So today I wanted to share a little bit about a conversation that I was having with a client, just about boundaries. And one of the things that she was talking about as we were talking about, creating her self-care plan was the fact that her partner worked long hours and worked, didn't took work home with her, and so she was feeling like maybe it's not such a big deal. And my response to her was, just because your partner doesn't have boundaries doesn't mean you don't have to have boundaries. So it just made me think a little bit about how we're so. I always talk about the conditioning of our culture and as doctors, and we're conditioning to think that we should be following the crowd. What other people are doing, what other doctors are doing. If they're working, 12 hours when they're supposed to be working 8, if they're staying till 8, 9 o'clock, then that's what we should be doing too. When in fact, we have families and roles and other responsibilities that when we, good morning, Dr. Aldridge, good morning, Donnie, when in fact, that's not an indicator that we should be driving ourselves into the ground. In actuality, we may look and say and look at that as what not to do. So if you're thinking to yourself, hey, I really am overworked, I'm stressed, I'm exhausted, but everybody else seems to be doing the same thing and doing fine. Well, number one, we can't compare our insides to other people's outsides because we never know what other people are going through. A part of our culture is to make it look good. Part of our culture is to never let them see you sweat or to fake it till you make it. There's all of these subconscious programming messages that we are taught as physicians, like don't look weak or make it, we have to put our mask on. We put our masks on. And what that does is it doesn't allow for us to look human to other people. And it's so interesting because even I had an incident recently with my family, and my dad told me that, I handle stress. The way I look on the outside when I am under a lot of stress or under a lot of pressure is like things are effortless. And I know for myself that that's part of the training that I grew up with. That's part of the training inside of having been trained as a doctor. So I just, want to impress upon you that number one, in order to have life be workable, we do need to set boundaries. In order to have life be workable, we do need to create structures in our lives for workability. And that does mean saying no sometimes. That does mean saying no to bringing work home when we can, or saying no to staying past a certain time at the office. That does mean incorporating or enrolling our family into helping us at home and setting those boundaries at home. I had a potential client who was feeling like that she couldn't set those boundaries with her children. who were of age to actually help her in the household. And so when we don't set those boundaries, we're setting ourselves up for exhaustion. And when we look at other people and say, well, they're doing fine, then all we're doing is we're beating ourselves up more for not being able to do what we think others are doing when we have no idea of what's happening on the inside of someone else. They may be just as exhausted. They may be suffering just as much and not saying anything because here we go. This is the, I've got it. I've got it. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. And then we crash and burn. We hit the wall. We crash and burn. So it's very important to acknowledge where you are, honor your space and where you are, and be honest about where you are, and then begin to create the structures that work for you and not worry about what everybody else is doing unless you want to take some tips that may work for you. If someone else is getting off work on time, you may ask them, what are you doing? But in terms of simply taking on and assuming that because other people look fine, other doctors look like they're handling it well, they look like it's effortless for them, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is. So that's my food for thought today. Just, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. So I want to stop comparing your insides to other people's outsides. And you want to know that just because other people have problems setting boundaries doesn't mean you have to have the same problem. Other people's boundary issues don't have to be yours. I am the Stress-Free Mom MD. I am the Stress-Free Mom MD. If you want to know more about what I do and my platform, you can visit my website, stressfreemommd.com. If you want to know 5 shifts to reclaim your time, joy, and freedom as a mom in medicine, you can also go to the website, and from the homepage, there is an opportunity to register for that free online training, that free online webinar, and I'll put a link below as well. So have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time.